The night he walked out of our bedroom holding my best friend's hand. He said something I will never forget. "You'll be fine. You have your mom's money." He thought he was leaving me at the lowest point of my life. What he didn't know was, the money he destroyed our marriage for was never his to touch. And by the time he realized that, it was already too late. For 10 years, I was the strong one. I paid the bills. I worked overtime. I kept our life looking stable. When his career failed, I told everyone it was just a transition phase. When my mom quietly helped us financially, I said it was my bonus. And Lynn, my best friend, was always there. At my wedding. In my home. Next to me at my mother's funeral. I trusted her like I trusted myself. I just didn't know. She and my husband were looking at that life like something that would soon belong to them. The day I met my mother's lawyer, I learned the truth. The inheritance was mine alone. Untouchable in the divorce. The company, also in my name. My mother didn't just leave me money. She left me protection. She didn't trust your husband, the lawyer said gently. And for the first time, everything became clear. They weren't waiting for me to heal. They were waiting for access. So I did the one thing they never expected. I stayed quiet. I let him cook dinner. I let Lynn send fake apologies. I let them think I was too broken to notice. Because the more confident they became, the more careless they became. I was no longer the one reacting. I was the one observing. He packed his things in less than an hour. "You'll be fine," he said again. 2 days later, Lynn posted a photo of them together. People started choosing sides. In their version of the story. He found happiness. And I had money. They thought I lost. So I let them. At the financial disclosure meeting, he walked in smiling. Until my lawyer said, all inherited assets are excluded from the divorce. I watched the exact moment his future collapsed. The apartment. The plans. The confidence. Gone. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. "You never asked about me," I replied. "You only asked about the money." He asked to meet. Not to come back. To negotiate. I just need some support for a while. Support. For the life he chose after leaving me. That's when I understood. He wasn't sorry. He was recalculating his budget. The night he knocked on my door, he looked smaller. "Can I come back?" Not, "I miss you." Just access. "You can't," I said. Soft. Final. A week later, Lynn moved out of his apartment. Because love built on money always has an expiration date. The last thing my mother left me wasn't money. It was a foundation for women who couldn't afford to leave their marriages. She didn't just protect me. She built the person I was meant to become. The day the first woman told me, "I have a home in my own name now," I understood. This was the real inheritance. We met one final time. "I didn't know you were capable of all this," he said. "You only knew the version of me that made your life easier." I answered. He apologized. For the first time in 10 years. And I felt nothing. Because closure doesn't come from the other person. It comes from outgrowing the version of yourself that needed them. My house feels different now. Not because it's bigger. Because it's lighter. For the first time, every decision inside it belongs to me. The guest room became a workspace for the foundation. The dining table became a place where plans were made, not sacrifices. And somewhere in the middle of all that, time passed. Over the next year, I stopped being the woman who had survived a divorce and became the woman who was building something that would outlive me. The foundation expanded into new cities. More legal teams joined. More partnerships formed. More women signed leases in their own names, and closed doors behind them that no one else had the key to. I visited one of the buildings on a quiet afternoon. No press. No cameras. Just the sound of children running down a hallway that finally belonged to their mothers. One woman stopped me and said, "I don't have to ask permission to live anywhere ever again." And in that moment, I understood something it had taken my entire marriage to learn. Security is not having someone stay. Security is knowing you will be fine if they leave. Work kept growing. But my life outside of it changed too. For the first time, I had dinners that were not meetings. Conversations that were not negotiations. Silence that didn't mean something was wrong. And I met someone who knew my name. Before he knew what I owned. There was no urgency. No performance. Just the quiet feeling of being seen, without being needed for survival. I wasn't starting over. I was starting correctly. On the anniversary of my mother's passing, I brought her the Foundation's first annual report. I used it, I told her. I didn't just survive, I built. Later, at a conference, a journalist asked me, "Do you feel like you won?" I smiled. "No," I said. "I just stopped losing." Because he thought he won. The day he walked away. With my best friend. And a future he believed I would fund. But the only thing I lost was the life where I had to be less than who I am. And in return, I got my name. My purpose. A home that is entirely mine. And a love that doesn't need access to my bank account to stay. Sometimes the person who leaves isn't taking your life with them. They're giving it back.